Good evening to respected dignitaries, Swamijis, and my fellow brothers of Vidyashala. I am Rumanvapi Atreya of First PUC and am honored to host today's Focus Assist program. Let's start our program by invocation.
श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति 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 हरि ओम।
It brings me immense joy to have with us one of our own addresses on the topic balancing priorities. This program is just another example as to show us what magic Vidyashala's discipline and culture could do if utilized to the maximum extent. Now, I call upon Dhanush to introduce to you all what a product of excellence, discipline, and committed hard work with a touch of values of Vidyashala could do.
Thank you, Ramanva. It is a privilege for me as a student of Sri Ramakrishna Vidyashala to introduce one of our distinguished alumni, Rohit Raj. Rohit's journey began right here at Vidyashala, where the values of discipline, curiosity, and quiet excellence shape not just students, but lifelong learners. The residential culture, structured routine, and emphasis on deep thinking at Vidyashala played an important role in nurturing his scientific mindset and commitment to meaningful work. Now, I request Sampreet to continue.
Today, Rohit is a doctoral researcher at the University of Texas at Austin, specializing in battery materials and electrochemical systems. His research focuses on understanding metal surface interactions and improving the performance and stability of both solid-state and liquid-state batteries, an area crucial to the future of energy storage. What truly distinguishes him is his practical and application-oriented approach to science. He has hands-on experience in advanced electrode interface characterization, allowing him to connect fundamental material science with real-world energy challenges. Rohit has also collaborated with academic and industrial partners to develop new materials and optimize processing methods for better energy storage solutions. With strong skills in MATLAB, Python, and renewable energy research, he now aspires to transition into industrial R&D, where he hopes to contribute to the next generation energy technologies. For us here at Vidyashala, Rohit Raj's journey is both inspiring and reassuring. It shows us how strong foundations can lead to global impact. Please join me in welcoming Rohit Raj.
Now, I request our guest to take over.
Hello, am I audible? Yes. It's really nice to see all of you over here. It's been almost 6 years before I was also at a very similar stage at where you guys are. I was also preparing for all of my exams, and it's really nice to see a lot of students also in similar places who are very enthusiastically preparing for these exams. I thank Song my Palanji for giving me this opportunity to talk with all of you. So, I'm just going to go over Yes. So, going on today's topics, Swamiji wanted me to talk about more about balancing priorities while you're in Vidyashala. I This is actually a very challenging topic because we are always encouraged to try a lot of things in Vidyashala. There's always a lot of activities like hobbies, and there's games, and there's spirituality over here. While we are still trying to excel while we are studying, we're trying to do well in our board exams. We're trying to prepare for competitive exams, which are a very essential part of what our future is going to happen. But a lot of people also, but with time, what happens is people do not realize how important it is to start focusing at a very young age. It is important to have your priorities right at an initial stage itself, because having the right priorities help you compound your interests and your excellence over time. It is as if like every decision matters as you're going through life. A small hiccup anywhere can always disrupt your life and change your trajectories in life. Let's go through some examples. For example, let's assume a student who does not prioritize study a lot. He believes that I can also go back, once I get into a good engineering college or any sort of college, they are able to prioritize their studies at the college itself. Whereas someone over here already starts prioritizing their college, thinking that, hey, if I start prioritizing my college over here, I might be able to go to a better place. And how that small difference in changing your priorities will change your future trajectory. So let's take into consideration a point in which a person prioritizes his studies and his preparation for competitive exam over here, and he gets into a better university. The things that you can get at a better university is like better faculty. You get one of the best faculties in the whole world who are trying to train you, and you also get top-notch facilities. These facilities can help you upskill a lot of your skills, which cannot be available at other places. And this is just not all that is there at a very good university. At good places where you go, it's also about the people that you surround yourself. People always say you are defined by the friends that you have around you, which is very true. Because when you have a group of friends who try to push you at every stage of life, you are also encouraged to push your boundaries and learn more and more. But if you have a peer of friends who are very comfortable with where they are, you do not have a tendency to push forward. You are already at your status quo and you're happy with your status quo. Whereas the human limit is that they can achieve amazing things. Yes. But then, if you think that, hey, right now I need to get into a better university. So does that mean that I have to only focus on studies? That is also not the entire solution. Yes, studies help a lot. But if you only focus on studies right now, you become extremely one-dimensional. Like, for example, you go into a university, you'll have a lot of group projects that you have to play around with a lot of people. You have to discuss your projects with a lot of other professors over there. So if you only focus on your academics over here without focusing on any other of the co-curriculars over here, you become extremely one-dimensional in nature. It is very important to have soft skills. And in addition to that, it is also very important to have a healthy body and a healthy mind. Just studying allows you to have a very healthy mind, but it does not allow you to have a healthy body. And without a healthy body, you are not able to have a very consistent study schedule, which will later on affect the way you nurture your mind. But the problem of only trying to focus on your studies is a concept called burnout. So what burnout right now is, when a student starts only focusing on a single thing and he continues to just keep studying or just keeps doing is just focused on a single idea, what happens is that the student undergoes through a lot of stress. He has a lot of mental stress, he has a lot of emotional stress, and which becomes very discouraging for them because they do not know where their progress is taking them. And that can lead to a lot of depression and a lot of loss of motivation, which will further lead to a loss of efficiency while you're studying.
Rohit, could I interrupt you for a minute?
Yes, Sanjay.
I was just thinking of another model of this particular session. A lot of students have got questions.
Yes.
Instead of asking the question at the end of your talk, we can probably make a hybrid kind of a model where students can ask the questions. There are a lot of curiosity, the students, especially how you have gone through IISc, what's the culture of IISc, how to pursue research. There are a lot of students who want to pursue pure science also.
Yes.
So through the questions, I think can we blend your talk if it is all right with you?
Yes, Sanjay.
It's okay.
Yes, Sanjay. If you want, you can take some questions right now.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. So Rumanva, if the students are ready, we can start with a couple of questions first, and based on the questions, we can elaborate on the talk by Rohit, please. Yeah, please pass on the mic to student, please. Yeah, please introduce yourself.
Hello sir, my name Darshil, studying in first PUC. So my question is like this: how did IISc change the way you think, question or solve problems? Did your experience at Vidyashala give you an unseen advantage in your remarkable path? If yes, how?
Very good question. So what I would say is IISc gives you more of a very good training background or on how to tackle a lot of different questions. So what you try to do throughout your bachelor's and your PhD is try to find fundamentals and different techniques on how to solve problems. So IISc will definitely help you find different ways to solve problems. And Vidyashala does help in a certain way. In Vidyashala, you are always exposed to a lot of different type of people, and you are also exposed to a lot of different type of problems that you do not see in the outside world very easily. And when you're in a team over here, like you join your societies or your groups, you are in charge of trying to solve those problems, which give you certain very unique perspectives, which do help in trying to solve both as a soft skill, trying to manage different people while you're trying to solve problems, because a certain person might have certain skills that you might need, and also gives you different perspectives in trying to understand a certain thing. Yes.
So, sir, when you return to the
Please introduce yourself, Kushal.
so my name is Kushal Kumar. I am from first PUC. So when you return to Vidyashala today, what was the first feeling that comes to your mind when you came back to this?
For me, first thing was it feels good to be back at home. So that is what I would feel. Vidyashala has always been a place where I was very comfortable at, and it was a place where I changed a lot as a person, and I think so it made me who I am right now. It was a very significant part of my personality development, so I would consider it at home. So the first thing that I felt when I came here was it's good to be back at home. Does that answer your question?
Good evening, sir. I am Nishal Beti. So I have 4 questions for you. First thing is while just introducing about you, they told that most of your thing studies is about pure science, and then they told that you want to move into industries R&D. So what is your true interest? Is it in applied science or pure science?
Okay, so I started with an interest in pure sciences because I believe that understanding the fundamentals is very important in order to solve any problem in the world. So I started through that, but as I was going through my pure science journey, I felt like it is also important to make an impact in the world. So that is why I then felt like solving the energy crisis right now and trying to find efficient methods of energy storage is very important. So that is where how I slowly, during the end of my undergraduate degree, I started shifting towards researching more applied systems. And right now I'm in between, I'm doing both sort of research. I'm trying to solve both applied research problems and pure research. But now my interest mostly tends towards trying to solve real world problems and trying to have a direct impact than an indirect impact in solving those problems. So I would put myself into being interested in the applied part of science right now.
Sir, and the second question is about the IISc culture. So, how was it in IISc? There any college were they more oriented only about academics, or did they give more opportunities for you to do something on your own, or in a group and stuff, like research or something, group activity or something?
Okay, so IISc is like most other colleges. The only thing is that the peers that you have and the faculty that you have over there are very competitive, very studious, and very academic oriented. So if you go over there are again how you have a lot of groups over here and a lot of clubs over here. We have the same opportunity over there. We have a drama club, we have a singing club, and we have also sport. Every year we have sports in which we compete with other science institutes in India, and a lot of cultural competitions also with other science institutes in India. So there are ample opportunities to culturally also grow at places which are very academically oriented. oriented. And in addition to that, when you asked about pursuing research, you are actually encouraged to do science projects or research projects every summer, and also if time permits during the semester, as the semester proceeds. This is why, as I was saying, having a group of peers who will push you matters, because everybody there at your peer group is also doing a project. So it feels like, hey, if everybody is doing it, it's also right for me to do it. I have to find opportunities in which I can excel. So that is how a peer group does help you push, and you find such peer groups in such universities, which will help you do both culturally well and also academically and research oriented.
So, and then my last question is like, do you have any entrepreneurial ideas?
Right now, in my field right now, unfortunately, I do not have anything. I would actually like to try to bring in some sort of production into India, since India is unfortunately lacking in productions of really high quality battery materials. But I think so I'm right now still a bit early in my career to start thinking a lot of those things. So I'm hoping in the future, maybe one day I'll be able to come back and start really high quality and cutting edge battery productions one day. But as of right now, nothing yet.
Rohit, to just to give a perspective, that is Nishal.
Okay.
Nishal was recently represented our country in the Japan Fest. He'd been to Japan for a week from the Atal Science Projects program. So he attended the program and he presented some of our whatever models, and he was part of the forum there. So he's got a good experience traveling to Japan and understanding how research works there.
That's amazing. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir, and then one last question.
Yes.
Like there is one famous saying that people have learned how to go to Mars, reach the moon, but then they haven't learned how to stay on Earth.
Yes.
So, like, what is your advice for us, to work in sustainable development projects?
I think so. What has happened? This might be slightly more geopolitical in nature, but I think so. The current generation of people in leadership positions are looking more inward than outward. I think so. It's very important to look outwards and see how our current actions not only affect you and also affect other people around. I think so. People right now in leadership positions are very self-oriented, are only looking at their advantages while not looking at how it affects other people. But I think so. The future generation of leaders are starting to look outwards. You're having a lot of great leaders who are fighting for sustainable changes, and there are a lot of countries, especially in the Europe, that are building up to sustainable futures. So I think so using them as a model, look outwards and see how it affects other people. That would be a good way to help build those things.
No, sir. Like, what can we do? Like, which part should we concentrate?
So students can concentrate on various things. It all depends on how you want to be in the world. Like, for example, if you want to go into politics, you can go into politics with having policies that can help people without you can either help people while still making the world a bad place to live in, or help people while making it a better place. That is one way you can do it. But if you want to go be an engineer, you can try to be an engineer who, for example, makes a company which makes sustainable products and also helps to make sustainable products at a very good price and help the world like that. So there are always different utilities and different ways in which you can tackle the problem. There's not a single way. You just need to be focused on trying to look outwards, is what I would say, in any profession that you take.
I think Rohit's advice of having a very good peer group, I think that's where it begins, because those are your immediate point of contact. So I think when you work on them, when you need to be out of your comfort zone, those are the people who are determining your levels of your focus. So I think if you are able to select those peer group and work on who have got the same shared goals, I think then you may be able to reach what you want to do, probably live up to your potential. That's what we all feel. Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, my name is Parjanya from First PUC. Sir, what are the obstacles that you have faced, going higher studies in IISc?
So do you want me to focus on what challenges I faced while being in Vidyashala or while being in IISc?
In IISc, sir. Before going to IISc.
So before going to IISc. In terms of a purely academic standpoint, I think so I was in a pretty good position over here because teachers over here are really good with what they understand. They give us a very good understanding of the fundamentals that we want to understand. Trying to clear over there was the tricky part because you have a lot of things that you're trying to balance over here. So it all depends on how you prioritize what you want to study. For example, in the beginning, it is important to be having a very holistic development over here, as Swamiji also was telling. But as things come to an end, preparing for competitive exams is like a marathon. You see people running slowly and steadily. You need consistency. You need to be good in your boards. You need to be good at assignments and everything. But the last phase, like the last mile or like last kilometer or two, you need to sprint. And right now, I believe all the second PhD students are in the sprint phase. So you need to completely focus on your academics and knowing when to prioritize what you have to do and being able to be flexible with your plans is something which I found a lot of my friends were being challenged with, but having the right tools is what helped me through most of that.
Rohit, could you share some light on the method of how we get into IISc, the career path? What are the exams to be taken? Please throw some light, please.
So I'll actually go on a bit more general topic over here, since I would actually like to say, because IISc is not the only place that does really good basic research, basic fundamental science research. There's also another group of institutes called IISers. I'm just not sure, how many of you here know IISers? Yes. So I just wanted to bring it into everybody's notice that there's a wonderful group of institutes called IISers. If you take IISc as a separate thing, what you would consider IITs for engineering, there are a couple of institutes called IISers, Indian Institutes for Science, Education and Research. They are the IIT equivalents for basic fundamental sciences. So for both of these things, it is very important to focus on your JEE Mains, and also you can join all these institutes through all various competitive exams. You can either go join it through JEE Mains, JEE Advanced, NEET, and also the newly formalized IISer aptitude tests. So you can do all three things. Also, so it all depends on what subjects you are comfortable with, but it is still important to learn all the subjects you are being taught, because you never know which perspective from which subject can help you solve a problem in any other subject. So while it's important to focus on all subjects, it's also important to choose a particular competitive exam that you are comfortable with. And also, it's not only about the competitive exam you're comfortable with. It should be a sort of thing that you aspire to go. And then you try to work towards that goal. Yes. One more thing. There's actually this really nice quote that I had seen in one of the C block boards that actually helped me change a lot about how I think and how I plan my goals. So the quote goes like, aim for the moon. Even if you fail, you would have reached the sky. So even if you're trying to, for example, let us assume that you're trying to score well in your JEE Mains. We might be happy with getting a rank in maybe the few hundreds or the few thousands. But just because we're happy does not mean that we have the capacity of reaching even higher. So it is important for us to aim higher, aim for getting like top 10 ranks or trying to crack JEE Advanced. And after making this goal, it is important to try to work towards that goal with a very honest and determined effort. And even while you're doing all of these things, at first, even on the worst case chance you fail, you would have still reached a goal in which you would have really done well in your JEE Mains or whatever exams you wanted to do. So it is very important to aim higher than where you want to be. Yes, Sanjay.
Hi sir, I am Aditya. I have two questions for you, sir. Sir, what habit or value which you imbibed in Vidyashala still guides you today?
Okay. So there's this philosophy of pragmatism that I learned in Vidyashala. So I think so a lot of students over here know Rahul Eskini sir over here. So when he was here, he taught us, he gave us a really nice quote. He told us there are 3 A's in life. So the 3 A's are accept, analyze and act. So this literally means if something happens to you in life, just accept it as it is. We go through a range of emotions. Oh no, why did this happen to us? Why couldn't it happen to somebody else? If I just changed this, something else could have happened. It is all right. For the fact, just accept that it happened. And then what it is important is to analyze it. Okay, why did this happen? How could I prevent this from happening in the future? Okay, now this has happened. So how do I plan my future such that this affects me the most most, or I can maximize, if it's a good result, how do I maximize the effect of that good fruit, or if it's a bad fruit, how do I minimize the effects from that bad decision. So and then once you analyze and make a really good plan on how to step forward, and then you act on that plan. Having this philosophy of pragmatism, having a realistic approach of this is what happened in life and this is what I can do best with what I have with me, that is something that actually helped me a lot while I was over here.
Sir, my other question is, sir, while in Vidyashala we have a lot of activities going on and we can't properly orient ourselves to one thing because we have boards over there and we also have competitive exams. So while preparing for competitive exams, do you focus on certain chapters or did you restrict yourselves to a certain syllabus or did you try to cover everything?
It depends. Okay, so I know I've spoken with some of you behind the scenes also. So if you're can I just know which class you are in right now? First PUC or second PUC? Okay, so I'll give this advice for both first PUC and second PUC students. For second PUC students who are yet to start their syllabus right now, it is important to go through a list of chapters and alternate between difficult chapters and easy chapters, because you are not going to pass through any competitive exam just by knowing the easy chapters. It is important to cover all your chapters and have a good grasp of the fundamentals. It is not important if you by heart your equations and just know, okay, I know this equation, I can solve it over here. That is not what that is important. It's important to know your fundamentals while trying to solve those things. So it is important to try to cover the vast things. But I understand there are some topics which is very difficult to understand. You might not be able to do it. So, and then if you just try to do just the difficult things, you might just lose sense of purpose, or you might lose motivation saying that, hey, I'm not going anywhere. But if you just do the easy chapters, it means that, hey, I've done the first 10 easy chapters, but then I'm done with this. But those 10 chapters might be easy for everyone, and everyone might get the same, you might get the most common grade possible and not aim for excellence. So it is important to try to achieve both, and an advice that I would give is try to do one that is very difficult and one that is easy. So that time you will be able to cover a lot more chapters, and while you're covering it, because the easy ones get over quicker, you will have a sense of accomplishment. Hey, I finished, instead of finishing 3 chapters over a month, you might have been able to do 4 chapters because you have done 2 easy ones in a month, and that is a greater sense of accomplishment, which is a good sense of motivation that can push you through. So yes.
Good evening, sir. My name is Ayan Subaya. Sir, my question is, if you could speak to your younger self at Vidyashala, what would you say? If you could speak to your younger self at Vidyashala, what would you say?
Yeah. One thing. To be honest, I think so. I had a pretty good time in Vidyashala, so I wouldn't change anything from there. One thing, what I would say for a person who had just finished Vidyashala is do not forget what you finished in Vidyashala and try to follow Vidyashala routine as it is, because Vidyashala routine is something which is very good, after which I have realized over the course of 6 years. So it is very important to follow Vidyashala routine because it allows you to focus very well, which has been like, there are a lot of scientific studies also that say that trying to concentrate over large periods of time is very difficult. So it is important to break it into chunks and try to study over those things. Vidyashala routine, knowingly or unknowingly, has made it really well for students to break up their study chunks into different parts while trying and allowing students to relax in between them, is what I would say.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I'm Akash from 2nd PUC. Sir, Vidyashala is well known for routine and discipline. How did it help you to get into IISc?
For me, having a routine is always, you have a discipline, and while you're trying to reach any sort of goal, it is important to be consistent than have large motivations. Because if you have a huge amount of motivation, the next day you might lose all the motivation and it just stops. Having a sense of routine and having a sense of discipline over here lets you be consistent. Even on a bad day, maybe you're not able to solve the hardest chapter. For example, for me, a hard chapter was in, for example, in physics, rotational motion and everything. Having to try to solve all the moments of inertia and try to integrate through all of them, it was a hard chapter for me. Maybe when I was in my best day, on my worst days, maybe I didn't want to solve that. But because I had the discipline and the consistency to try to solve something, I would have always done something else instead of letting go. So having the sense of routine and having the sense of discipline in Vidyashala helped me make sure that I was consistent, which I believe is more important than just being motivated for competitive exams.
So my name is Rajatar. So my question is, what should a Vidyashala student focus on today if they aspire to study in Institute of National Importance like IISc?
One I would suggest is try to be sure that you know your fundamentals really well. Like, for example, if professor says, if any lecturer says, for example, I met some people doing the chemistry practicals today. So they were saying, hey, I mixed two compounds together and I saw it turning yellow. So that means that compound is present in that. But it is important to even fundamentally understand why does that compound turn into yellow color. So if it doesn't turn into yellow color, why is it not turning into yellow? So understanding the fundamentals is very important if you're trying to go to a place like IISc. And the other thing is, it's also very important to balance out your studying in every sort of way. You need to learn how to balance all type of workloads, because even at an institute like IISc, you're going to have a lot of things being thrown at you. So knowing how to balance and learning how to balance my priorities over here, like sports and then co-curricular activities like all the speaking occasions. I was a pilot over here during college day, so those responsibilities, and trying to do competitive exams, doing well on my boards and doing well in my assignments. It's important to learn how to juggle all those responsibilities. So learning those things from Vidyashala will help you at a place like IISc.
Sir, to add on to Nishal's question, I have another question. Sir, as you know, our Vidyashala is now a plaque which engages students in the field of business. What advice would you give our students who will want to create something of their own?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sir, our students is right now exposed to business. So what advice would you give for all the students?
What he means is, he's also secretary of this entrepreneurship society. So what he means is, there are a lot of sessions on entrepreneurship, and we get a lot of speakers who talk about how can they convert their, their ideas into practical, where they can deploy it to the people, common people. So building their business ideas into practical areas. So how can you probably use this skill or to, further your interest? It's the idea which he has.
I think so, so one thing I would say, a lot of startups, I'm in the battery industry right now, and in the US the battery industry is booming a lot. So the mistake that a lot of startups and a lot of companies do is that they promise lofty things without having a fundamental understanding of how it might be possible. It might be possible to produce something or make something very small, but trying to scale it up has been a very big challenge. So understanding the scales of your industry and the scales of your product, and if you have a really nice product, maybe it's easy for you to make it by hand, and for 10 people to make it by hand. But if a product needs to be successful, there needs to be thousands of products and tens of thousands of products. So it is also important to see how processes scale up, and trying to understand different processes and how they scale up might be something important. And understanding that thing is, especially for someone trying to get into entrepreneurship, it is important to understand how things scale up, in my opinion.
Any more questions? I think as you continue, Rohit, maybe we'll get some questions, please.
So as I was saying about burnout and how Vidyashala's routine helps with everything, so I just wanted to go through some general advice I could give to students over here, because I know a lot of you students are trying to try to achieve good scores in your competitive exams. And I know it's a bit confusing on how to navigate that right now. So I'll actually give it in two parts. One for second PUC students and one for first PUC students, but there are a lot of things in common. So for second PUC students, the thing is that you have a very short timeline right now, and maybe you guys are having your competitive exams in maybe 5 months or 4 months. So what I would suggest, as I was telling to someone, make a list of priorities, make a list of chapters in every subject that would go from the most difficult chapter to the most easiest chapter, so that you know that what chapters you need to spend the most time on and what chapters that you could easily go through, and then go through each subject alternatively, each type of chapter alternatively, but make sure that you go through all the subjects. Do not have, I know that some people here like chemistry or some people here like math, but that doesn't mean that you only do math or you only do chemistry. You need to make sure that you are covering all your bases. And another thing that does really help while you're trying to prepare for competitive exams is making notes. I know a lot of students just focus on reading the textbook and then, hey, I know how to solve this problem. But what happens is that, for example, you do a really unique problem today, but then 3 months down the line, you want to see, hey, how was this problem solved? Or you want to just go through a set of problems that were very unique and you have not come across the solutions for those problems in a regular problem set. So having a set of notes helps you go through all those unique conditions, and it also helps you revise really quickly. So having a good set of notes is something that I would say is very important. Yes, and another strategy that helped me a lot while trying to prepare for the examinations, especially while the exams are coming close, is going through lots of old papers. I know for board exams also, we are given a question bank and also a couple of old papers to go through. Going through previous papers, especially in a way in which you can go through each chapter wise. For example, just taking the more kinematics or like motion in 1D or 2D, just going through each chapters of questions for the past 10 years. Going through those things allows you to revise each chapter at different difficulty levels, and it also lets you focus on a certain topic, allowing you to grasp that knowledge a bit better. Yes, and another thing is try to focus on your fundamentals, because you might by heart an equation today, or you might by heart hundreds of equations today, but you do not know if you will be able to remember those equations down the line. Because by hearting or like trying to memorize anything is very much like pattern recognition or pattern memorization. You forget one spot in the pattern, and what happens is you forget the whole pattern. So what I would suggest is know your fundamentals really well, so that if you know your fundamentals really well, you can always come up with these equations through some of the basic equations that you can remember. So it is very important to understand fundamentals and understand why everything is happening. And especially at this last stage, I was saying that it is a marathon, but in the last stage, it is going to be a sprint. You need to focus only on one thing that you want to do. For example, for some people, they want to just do the KCT or get a good rank in KCT, or just do JEE Mains. So aim a little bit higher than what you want to do. For example, if you are planning to do really well in KCT, prepare all you want for KCT and try to solve some questions from the JEE Mains syllabus also, because those problems give you unique perspectives and also let you go through it quickly. So aim higher and make sure that you go through everything is what I would suggest. Yes. So it's a sprint, right? So managing every minute is also very important. I heard that recently you guys had a change in your routine. I was actually very appreciative of that, because having a change in your routine, because you have 30 minutes for lunch, and then afterwards 20 minutes for a total of an hour of break is a good amount of break for someone who is having a little bit of exhaustion to rejuvenate. And then getting back into a sprint is really important, because that time you're still not taken a long enough break that you're still in the form to start grasping all that knowledge back. So it is important to get back into a sprint for the next 5 to 6 months until you finish your competitive exams. Yeah. For a personal anecdote, what really helped me was also during Vidyashala, we have our bells at around 5:30. We used to wake up at that time, freshen up, study before then, and also before we sleep, prepare for your competitive exams until like 11:30 or 12. And knowing how to juggle, how to prepare for your preparatory exams and board exams is very important. That is why it is important to understand your fundamentals, because your fundamentals do not change throughout any exam that you take. It's the same physics for both your board exams and your competitive exams. Physics does not change from exam to exam, right? So it is important to understand your fundamentals, and then when your preparatory comes, it's just about understanding how do you put it out over there. So that's why understanding the fundamentals is very important. For the first PUC students, because you have a longer timeline, you guys can be a bit more flexible with how you guys are working. And because you have a longer timeline, what I would suggest is trying to cover as much as of the syllabus earlier. But now Somji was also telling me that they're trying to cover as much of the syllabus earlier. So if your university also starts early, it is a good thing, because that time you guys can have a head start about all the portions that are being covered, and you also have more time at the end. Instead of having your syllabus being finished in December, you can have it finished at September, giving you 3 months time before your preparatory to completely focus on your competitive exams and go through all of that. Yes. And then a lot of the same advice is what I would give for the second PUC students. It still applies for the first PUC students. Understanding your fundamentals and making good notes is really important. And another thing, since you right now first PUC students going into second PUC will start having a lot of assignments and tests. It is important to know how much time you take to finish each of those assignments or get ready for each of those tests, and use any portion of time remaining to prepare for your competitive exam, because every minute matters. And in a place like Vidyashala, because you already have a lot of avenues to rest, it is important to play hard, but also it is very important to work hard. If you do not work hard, there is no use of playing hard, because all your play is for your work. So it is important to work hard and play hard. So every minute matters. So it is very important to manage all your times and know your own limitations and your own capabilities and plan according to that.
Recently, I met one of the students, one of the students who passed out of 10th and is joined in one of the, institutions which focus exclusively on academics. But they have the sessions from morning 7 to 7. So when he came back to Vidyashala, one of the questions he asked me was, Swamiji, how do our students, fare in this competitive world? That was the first question he asked, because he was from 10th and he was studying there. Then I brought to his notice the change in routine and the insightful changes which you are trying to bring into this curriculum. And when he made a calculation, we were discussing, we made a calculation and the impact which he had and which he agreed also. Swamiji, the routine, whichever the changes we have done, and the most importantly qualitative changes, where the student, though in paper is going to study for 4 hours at a stretch, which Rohit pointed out, it's not a very ideal way of studying, because quality chunks of time, you're able to optimize your time, take a little bit of break and move on. That would be a very ideal thing. And Vidyashala, this routine also, it's not some school or college which is started 10 years earlier or 5 years earlier. It has got a tried and tested way, where a lot of educationists, a lot of people, well-wishers have spent a lot of decades in trying to evaluate and formulate this routine. So I think if we can have a trust in the system, and also along with that we need to learn how to work smart also, because I think Rohit Raj's impact or his insight is like, it's not just about trying to work hard, but you need to know how to balance when things are thrown at us. And definitely not only in Vidyashala, a lot of things are always thrown at you, routine wise challenges, you'll have external competitions, you'll have tests, you've got externals, and you've got challenges in the dormitory also. So along with that, this will be a good preparation ground for your future career. I think that is why, which I have found out, Vidyashala students, when they go outside, they know they are very well prepared. Probably the only thing was a little bit down was the academic rigor which need to be brought into the system, and I think Swamiji, the Warden Swamiji, and school people also, they're trying to work on it. I think Rohit's insight also kind of augments the entire argument. That's what I feel. Rohit.
Yes, Swamiji, I completely agree.
So if there are any questions, now it's almost 8 o'clock. If there are any questions, we will take it. Yes, please. Yes, Samprit.
Samprit Hegde, first PUC. So you've probably heard this more times than you'd like, but you're one of the very few who have achieved what we call the American dream. So in this current era of alienation of Indians in the outside world, what are your tips and advice to students who want to study out of India, abroad?
I do agree for the unfortunate circumstances around the world that Indians are unfortunately getting a bad name, which is not completely our fault, but there are certain things that we as a whole group could do better. But I think so, from a perspective from being in the US, what I would say is a lot of things that are known outside is a very small percentage of things that do happen in the US. For example, and right now the media's landscape over there likes to focus on clicks, as I think so most of you people know, and because rage and violence do get clicks, I think so those are the things that are being focused. But in my honest opinion, that is not what is actually happening at the ground over there. You have a couple of people who as Indians do not behave the best over there, but there are also very few people who do outwardly hate us so much. There are huge swaths of community over there who welcome us a lot, and I think so I don't think so it is going to be a huge problem trying to achieve an American dream and have a good life in the US right now. I think so what is being portrayed in the media is unfortunately very skewed in one ratio, because again, people look only inwards and do not understand how it affects the outward, how it affects other people. Because of that, I think so what is seen mostly outside is a very skewed representation, which I wouldn't completely agree. I do agree that it exists, but I don't agree that it gives a complete picture of what is happening in the US.
And to just follow up on Samprit's question, you have passed out of a premier institute in India, and what made you take up a doctoral program rather than continuing in IISc or probably in institutes like IISr? What made you move on to the western part of the hemisphere? And in terms of your analysis, you said accept, analyze and act. So what was your analysis in trying to make that career decision and career transition? So it could throw light on a lot of students who are also looking at pursuing their BS programs also. So they spend a lot of money, a lot of investment is involved here, spending crores of rupees going there, and again the recent policies of the American government regarding the financial part of staying there, continuing their education there. What is the impact on the next generation who want to pursue that? I think if you can throw some light on that, practical light, so probably people may rethink their decisions or probably may be well informed of their choices later.
So, as Swamiji told, let's go to the 3 A's of that situation. So one, there's a lot of things happening in the US. You do not know what is possible in the future. Something might change or something. So, and then let us analyze it. So what are the possibilities? One, let us understand a lot of US's brain power comes through different countries. US is built by immigrant power. All right. So US is a country that is going to appreciate knowledge, and in the long run, it's not going to be a place that is going to say no for knowledgeable people coming in. But still, for a lot of other reasons, it's still going to be difficult to build up a career or a life in the US, because you're never going to be sure of what is going to happen. So we can go through other things. Let us see what other alternatives we have. After doing a degree maybe in a place like IISc or IIT, we can continue to do a PhD in a very similar university like IISc or IIT. We do have a lot of good facilities over here, and we are starting to have a good amount of collaborations that are starting to happen. And another point, like a lot of people go to the US because there are good facilities, and US is being run on the name that it made a couple of decades ago. So right now there are still a lot of other universities abroad, like for example in the Europe. Speaking from personal experience as a material scientist, there are a lot of good universities in the southern east part of Asia also, like in countries like Japan or South Korea or places like Singapore. So there are a lot of options where you guys can still proceed and pursue. But even trying to pursue it in India, there are a lot of really good opportunities like IITs and also research institutes just focusing on research like the Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research. It's called JNCASR. It is where right now CNR Rao is currently working at. So they are working on like advanced semiconductor research and everything. So we do have a lot of opportunities out there. So what matters is what are your priorities. For me, trying to upskill myself to the maximum possible extent was really important. So trying to go to a place where such facilities are easily available is more important, which I believe still exists at top universities like in Singapore, like NTU in Singapore, or the Okinawa Institute for Technology in Japan. So there are still a lot of options that are going to happen, but I also believe that in the long run, US is going to still be a place where knowledge is still going to be valued, and for knowledgeable people to trying to achieve the American dream, it is always going to be possible, is what I'm going to say. So.
People stand in long queues to get a visa to go to the United States. When do you think people will stand in long queues to get a visa to India? So, and what could be that kind of a great change which needs to be done by youngsters like us, where to bring about that kind of change so people will come to India and trying to further the interests of the world? What do you think is lacking in our current Indian ecosystem?
Yes. So a lot of things that are currently lacking in the Indian ecosystem is that, as I was saying, for entrepreneurs, I think is a way to scale up, and also on the other side, in completely research terms, it is very difficult to collaborate in India. I think so. It is a mindset of the past in which people are very secretive of the work and do not want to share and do not understand that science right now is a very vast expedition of knowledge, and it's not going to be possible by trying to row on a single paddle boat or a kayak. In order to go through that vast sea of knowledge, you're going to need a very huge ship that is being captained by a lot of people. So trying to understand and trying to interact with a lot of people and trying to work as a team, which actually is something that is very important, that is taught over here, is something that can help people bring in really good research and do really good research in India, because we have amazing capabilities over here. We have large synchrotrons, we have really good people who know how to do computational simulations and create computational twins in which they can simulate what is happening in the real life on a computer and explain it mathematically. We have extremely well-funded and well-knowledgeable professors in really good universities. But I think so the problem that is lacking with most people is that they are in the mindset of the past that science is what I am doing is the secret, and I can cross the vast sea on a kayak, where the biggest change is supposed to be that we have to build a huge ship which is manned by many people, and we have to learn how to share and collaborate.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir. My name is Samarth of first PUC. My question is, with studies, how to balance EQ level? Like putting all this stress of the studies on our parents or family members, and even on our fellow mates. So can you please tell me or give some ideas?
So for that, I think so what matters the most is having, as I was saying, having a good peer group, because what matters is to understand that you're not alone. And if you always know that, hey, I have somebody else who's in a very similar boat, it gives you motivation. I have someone else. I have someone who can help me. If I have a problem, he can help me. If he has a problem, I can help him. And us together can go through this obstacle. And having someone like that also is someone who can relate to you. And that I'm explaining to them in both in an emotional and a logical perspective. They are able to grasp it really well, and also they are able to relate it to you. So for me, I think so, and that place, having a good peer group is the most important thing that can help you in an EQ-wise on how to navigate through such difficult obstacles.
I think to add on to this, Samarth, I feel that, when you talk about a peer group, there could be a lot of situations in life where you may not be able to find the right friends around you, because you have come into a particular place and you have been paired up or you have been with them. So what is the solution now? So how can you move out of that particular situation? It's a challenge, whether it is in a college or it's a neighborhood or it is a university, or probably a family also. You have been married to a particular person and you have no other way. So how you need to work out your way, that's a challenge. I think having the right mentors beyond your age group, that also could help. Maybe in Gurugulu anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ವಾ, so you have the right mentors in terms of a spiritual dimension, and probably it's in the age of this online technology, a lot of things are accessible for you, where counseling sessions can happen, and having a very good habit, lifestyle, because one of the questions directed to Rohit was how have you maintained your habit. I think I remember Rohit being very active. I think Rohit was in basketball, right?
Yes.
So Rohit was in basketball also, very prolific player also. So I think with all the extracurricular activities in Vidyashala, you get your that levels of positivity. So I think that's very important thing. Yes, peer group is important, but fortunately, unfortunately, if you do not have those peer group, what is the next option? So you need to have access to good books, have good people to talk to, seniors, Swamijis, your family members, or probably engage in good games and other hobby, so to kind of work out, to build up your emotional and spiritual quotient. So yes.
Hello sir, I'm Yogaraj of 2nd PUC. Sir, you told about the preparation of completing the full syllabus in some duration, but we students of 2nd PUC are really at fag end that we are hardly left with 10 days to complete our whole syllabus, and we'll be dealing with our preparatory exams, laboratory exams, and then direct final. So how will you suggest me, how do we cover our syllabus in a super fast way?
Yes. So what I'm going to tell you is, I understand in 10 days you have your preparatory exams. So what I would suggest that time is, if your preparatory exam is coming so quickly, it is more important to address that challenge. All right. So let's accept your preparatory challenge is happening. So what you have to do is prepare for your preparatory, but while trying to prepare for your preparatory exams, make sure that you understand the fundamentals. Like for example, you might not understand the law, but instead of trying to by heart the law, try to go to a friend, or try to go to a lot of mentors over here. You have a lot of teachers who are coming from outside. You have really good teachers in Vidyashala who can teach you that. Try to fundamentally understand what is happening, and then as the saying, making good notes. If you make those notes, it's going to be similar notes for both your preparatory exam and your final exams, and also for your competitive exams, right? So make good set of notes. So when you have a good set of notes and you understand the fundamentals, after your preparatory you're going to have the same fundamentals for your laboratory exams. So preparing for your laboratory exam is going to be easier, and trying to prepare for your final exams is going to be even easier, because you have already prepared for it twice, right? So going through, instead of a textbook that would take you 10 hours, going through a notes that would take you 1 hour would be quicker, which would save so much time for you in the remaining time that you have. And in the remaining time, trying to prioritize which chapters you have to focus and what level of problems you want to focus on to is what would determine success in a competitive exam. And as soon as you finish your final exams, it is going to be an ultra fast sprint. For me, what I did, especially I fortunately Swamiji had introduced us to a really good set of teachers called Dinesh and Professor, teacher Dinesh sir had come from a institute in Mysore. Maharaj had actually introduced us. So I went and joined his institute, and I used to work and study from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the night. It used to be continuous. Take breaks in between, but it is going to be a sprint, because you're not going to get burnt out in a span of 3 months. And that is the time in which you have to work a lot. So understanding your priorities and not making excuses for yourself. I think so that was a point that I wanted to tell everyone. It is very easy to make excuses for yourself. Somebody will tell, hey, it's not possible by you. Or you will be like, hey, there's so many things to do, it is not going to be possible. It's very easy to make excuses and let go. It is very difficult to accept that, hey, this is what is happening right now, but it is important to ignore the excuses and still make as much progress as possible. You might not be able to finish 100%, but if you're able to finish 80%, it is better than where you were when you had done 0% of the work. So it is important to ignore excuses. If somebody taunts you, take that taunt as a motivation. Take that, you think that I'm not able to do it, I will be able to do it. Take that as motivation, and make sure that you will be able to do something instead of nothing. It is always better to do something instead of nothing. So that is what I would say. And right now, for all 2nd PUC students, you are going to enter into a sprint phase. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be important, because this stage of your life is going to determine your future trajectories a lot. Because joining a tier 2 or tier 3 college, or joining a tier 1 college, will change the amount of facilities, faculty and peers that you're going to have, which is remarkably going to impact your career trajectory and your personal life. So what I would say is this point in time is very crucial, and it's very important to not make excuses and focus as much as possible on your work.
Anybody? Yes. Vishwanath. Yes, please ask, Vishwanath.
Good evening, sir. I'm Ritvik Vishwanath from class 10. So you gave us an idea on how to prepare for our exams. So since I'm in 10th, can you tell me which is the best time to start preparing for my competitive exams in PUC, and which is the best method to recall concepts which we've learned?
If you're finishing your 10th, there is no other time than now. As soon as you finish your 10th, it is a good time to start preparing for a competitive exam. The only thing that is going to change, as I told first PUC students, you're starting a 2-year process. It is a marathon. The advice is going to be different from what I gave the second PUC students, because there's a difference in how you're going to manage time for a 2-year project versus a 6-month or a 4-year project. So for you, it's going to be a marathon, but it's never too early to start for competitive exams, especially after you finish your 10th exams. And skills that really helped me go through, again, as I've been telling, understanding of fundamentals, understand why it is happening. Just don't understand this happens, understand the why, how, and when it happens. Those are key important things. And then do not try to memorize everything. Once you understand the fundamentals, for example, you try to memorize hundreds of equations, but maybe it's not, you memorize it today, but 1 week down the line, it's not possible to remember all hundreds of equations. But instead, if you're able to understand the fundamentals and remember the first 20 basic equations, and if your fundamentals are strong, you know how to derive the rest 80 equations from the basic 20 equations. So understand your fundamentals and prioritize remembering the basics and getting to know everything else quickly than trying to memorize everything else. And always be in the lookout for unique problems that have different perspectives, because always understanding different perspectives gives you a lot more tools to attack a single problem than being stuck with a single method. Because, for example, you might want to check if the answer is correct, but then instead of just checking, hey, have I done the math wrong or right, it's also always advantageous to go through it from a different perspective and still arrive at the same answer, which is what a lot of science is about. I don't know if a lot of PUC students have done this, but I think so. The Mulliken tried to disprove Einstein's hypothesis, but his oil drop experiment actually proved it. It was two different perspectives of trying to answer the same question. So it's the same thing that you guys also have to do. Try to get a lot of different perspectives, which will help you answer a lot of different questions. So that is, and make good notes. Again, notes are like the best thing that can ever happen.
Thank you, sir.
So can we take one more question and conclude this part of the session? One more question. It's 8:10. We are right time to wrap up. Yes, last question. Yes, please. Aditya.
Sir, this might be a little off track of the topic, but sir, we have a lot of writing work in our routine present. Like languages, we need to write certain sheets. We have to write question and answers again and again. Sir, IISc sir used to say that if we want to practice something, we have to learn it first and then write it. But due to the time constraints that we have, we just write them for submission. Do you think it is ideal for us to write it in that manner, or is it, generally everybody feels over here that it is something which is blocking us from reading more or putting more efforts into competitive stuff and our boards. So what is your opinion on that, sir?
What I would say is writing is important, but again, as IISc sir was saying, understanding what you're writing matters more, because right now you might just write it, and after a month when you're preparing for your quarterly or something, you might again have to go through the same thing, and again you're writing it through without understanding what it is. But while you're writing it at the first time, understanding the fundamentals down the line will give you greater fruits than just trying to write it out. So it is important to understand the fundamentals, but it is also important to understand which is more important. Like try to prioritize, do not try to try to prioritize what you're trying to understand fundamentally, because sometimes you might not be able to understand everything by yourself, but go to a second person, go to a third person, because always understanding from a second or third person might be important. So again, it is not, you don't need to do everything by yourself. You have good teachers and good friends also over here, do that. And efficient time management. For example, you have a class, teacher doesn't come, or you have a lab session that got over 30 minutes early. Instead of trying to relax or something, because that period of time is meant for working hard. Take out your lab notebook, take out your language notebook, finish all the things over there, because every minute matters over there. Because Vidyashala's routine is planned such that they have given ample of opportunities to play hard and also relax really well. For people who do not relax well by doing sports, there are good places in which you have good leisure times in which you can read something at a leisurely place. Even though if it is 20 minutes is a good time in my opinion. I used to do it for 20 minutes or 15 minutes. Or also spiritually, if you think going and grounding yourself spiritually helps you relax, we always, behind every major session of study, we always have a prayer session, which always helps you ground yourself also. So efficient time management and knowing when you have to working hard is most important, is what I would say.
I think to add on to this, Aditya, when you write competitive examinations, especially when you go to this post-graduation in MBA, we talk about management programs, there is one particular banking exams, you have something called reading comprehension. RCs and those things are data interpretation, where you need to crunch data, and reading comprehension, we've got a big paragraph and the questions are given from those paragraph and all. So even one of my particular perspectives was that try to understand what's given in the paragraph and then try to answer the questions. But there's a time constraint in that. So the mentors who try to train you how to crack those exams will have a different methodology to crack those exams. They look at the keywords, they look at how to highlight things, they want you to run through the questions first and then see the paragraph. I hope you are understanding. So there are different avenues of how we need to handle that particular problem. Now here the question comes, how important is that particular subject which is at your hand important for you in a bigger priority? So this entire topic of today is about balancing priorities. So we cannot give up English, we cannot give up languages, we have to do it, but where is the priority, on what priority are you going to apply yourself to? That is one of the most key aspects of your development. If you are able to address that, you will make out devices, you will make tools to handle that particular problem. That's what I have understood. Now when there is a problem and you've got 1 minute to read a page-long paragraph and answer 10 MCQs, so it's very difficult to actually understand, get the feel of the author, try to understand, because you're in a competitive world. So you need to solve it, you need to crack it. So the point is, what are you looking at? What is your priority? And how are you going to balance your priorities? That's the crux of this particular talk. Shall we conclude this? Romanva, please.
Thank you for such significant insights on the topic as well as your answers to the questions. They would definitely boost our boys to achieve greater results in our students as well as professional career. Now I request Swamiji to felicitate our guest. Now, coming to the end of our program, I call upon Pranav Telkar to give the finishing touches to our program.
First, I would like to thank our guest, our Rohit Raj, for giving us a wonderful yet meaningful session, which, if our words are received right, then would definitely take us to the destination of undeniable respect, honor, and success. I thank you, Revered Swamiji, Maipandaji, for providing us this helpful session, which was much needed for this audience of PUC boys, and specifically to the senior-most students at this crucial time. I hope they utilize this opportunity to inculcate these words of experience of our guest properly. I would like to thank my gratitude to the Swamijis and here for blessing and motivating us and reach greater heights. The effect of this is right in front of you to all. Today, he stands as a symbol of Vidyashala's values and excellence, and of course, the guidance given by our elders and well-wishers, which I am sure Swamijis have played a crucial role in shaping Rohit Raj to grow so as to have global impact. I would like to thank all the volunteers and secretaries of student societies, especially the Media Lab, Audiovisual Department boys, for extending their hands for today's program. Last, definitely not the least, I thank all the students for being such an energetic audience and patiently inculcating the values of lessons told by our guest, which I am sure would lead our paths to success inevitably. I once again thank you on behalf of SRK Waste fraternity. Thank you. Now I request all of you to stand up and we shall end up with Purnamada.
Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.